Hey guys, my name is Simpzy. How you all doing? Welcome back to some more Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. Here today on the channel we have episode 2 of my Empire series playing as Karl Franz. Here today we're going to be kicking things off with the quest battle for Gal Maraz, and we're going to have the battle for Blackfire Pass. So if you'd like the sound of that, feel free to leave the video a like and subscribe if you're new. I'd really much appreciate it. Unfortunately, the Chaos Lord Festus has gained some prominence in our Elector Count territory. Alright, so we're going to be doing the quest here. Going to be playing the famed battle of Blackfire Pass. It's a really enjoyable quest battle. I really can't wait to tear up and boil some greenskins, I suppose. Then later on, we're going to make plans and preparations to forcibly bring in Marionberg into the Empire. So, let's get things underway. We're going to be marching south. Let's get stuck into the dreaded greenskins.
Now is the time, men of the Empire, to unite, for the orcs gather. Beyond the pass, a war boss draws to him all that is foul. An orc horde beyond imagining. As Sigmar fought, so shall we. We will become part of the legend. We will wipe the orcs from our door. And only when this is done, when our nation has healed, shall I take up Gal Maraz. For Sigmar, for the Empire, for the Warhammer.
For Sigmar, for the Empire, for the Warhammer. So, this battle can be a little bit tricky once their giants and spiders come on in. So what we want to try and do is close the distance as quick as possible, because they do have a decent amount of high ground. So we just absolutely want to fucking send it up that hill as quick as we can. So this is double time. Now, the dwarves, our old and ancient ally, have made the decision to come in on and help, which is going to be massive, as they're bringing their famed gyrocopters to try and help us out. So we do have to be a little bit careful tackling quest battles this early on in the campaign. Haven't got the perfect and most optimal army build, but we'll try and make do. Bunch of swordsmen, still got some great swords. We've also got some death jacks, which are our recently recruited regiment of renown. We've also got a bunch of experienced crossbowmen. Now I just have to keep our gunners a little bit safe. Now the Goblin Wolf Riders, they're going to cause us a problem here. Alright, archers and crossbows, quickly draw your short swords to stop them. And we'll get Karl Franz, who's now on a Pegasus, to engage their lord. But things are going to be tough here against these bloody greenskins, as they have the high ground. But Karl Franz is targeting their legendary lord. The goblins are in the retreat. As always, the gobbos are cowards. But here come the dwarfs. It's going to be a little bit of time before the stunties are going to get their way up here, just because their legs are a little bit short. Anyway, let's make sure these attack orders are working well. Nice. Some of the infantry in the center has advanced, and the secondary wave has kicked off. So let's just continue to push upon our good initiative. Nice. Those archers have actually prevented our artillery from capitulating. The longer we can have them actively raining fire and death upon the enemy, the better. Let's continue to advance. Alright, now their giant is now here, so we've really got to target and isolate him. They've yet to bring in their spider. Nice. The dwarf gyrocopter is dropping some heavy bombs. Our crossbows are starting to light up the giant, but thanks to dwarven mechanical engineering, we should be able to bring it down quicker. Nice. And they're starting to burn him and crisp him with some Nice hot steam. Come on, men of the Empire. And then of the Dwarvish Kingdoms. Bring this guy down. Bring him down. Okay, so we're just going to try and take the apex of this hill so we can nullify the greenskins' high ground advantage. Okay, and we're maintaining and we're holding well. Okay, the dwarfs and their reinforcements have finally arrived. Nice. More greenskins have come, but unfortunately some of our swordsmen are retreating, but thankfully the giant is one of the major problems we had to face. Oh god, try and bring it down, come on. Although it's retreating, the last thing we want is for it to come back in, but we might have to draw our attention away from the retreating giant and try and focus on their spider now, which is going to be more of a concern. But so far, if you haven't gone and seen episode 1, highly recommend you do after this. Just a quick recap. We managed to take all of Reichland under our direct control, crushing the Empire separatists, secessionists. Oh, Karl Franz is retreating. Oh, he's just been in combat just that little bit longer. Shit. We also managed to go on a little bit of an adventure north, crushing the Norskins that were threatening Nordland. And we also managed to, well, mount Kazrak the One-Eye's head on a spike. I'm sure we sent it to Toddy. And I'm sure he's happy about that. Boris Todbringer. Okay, so balance of power swinging back in our favour. Although my infantry is incredibly exhausted and depleted, thankfully we've bought enough time for our allied dwarven companions to hold, because they obviously have fantastic infantry, some of the best in the game, incredibly well armoured. We finally brought down that giant, and although our infantry is being crushed, in combined help with the dwarves, they're going to take up our lacking in infantry, but our crossbows have an abundance of ammunition, thankfully due to our tech. But things are looking good for the Empire. We're slowly but surely conquering territory where we can, stopping foreign invaders like the Beastmen, and we're actively going after quests as well, because there's so many of them, you can forget about them. Like, sometimes I get so zoned in and honed in on conquering territory and painting the map red that you forget there's really valuable quests that you can do, but they can be a little bit tricky. So, yeah, just looking at this, our infantry is definitely a lot to be desired. So we want to try and get great swords in. That's my ideal infantry that I like to use for the Empire. Get about 5 of those bad boys in. But thankfully, our skirmisher supremacy was able to carry today. We ended getting a Pyrrhic victory against the outnumbered greenskins. Alrighty, so unfortunately we did lose a great sword there. And our mortar, oh shit. And our regiment of renowned as well. We'll take the experience, as Karl Franz is rocketing up in stats now. We're currently -1 Imperial Authority. However, we have made up for getting 5,000 gold and Galmaraz. It's going to be 10 turns before we can get those guys back. I guess we'll bring in these pistoliers. And it's only 4 turns away before we can get more great swords in as well. We can get early halberds, but we're going to have to repair and lick our wounds from the Battle of Blackfire Pass, which was costly. Okay, so I've made plans and preparations to strike Marionberg. Now, thankfully, they're a little bit under threat. Now, as you can see, we've got no influence over them, so because they're technically not a part of the Empire, they're sort of their own thing. We want to try and bring the province of the Wasteland under our control. Now, they are currently in an active war against this greenskin tribe here, and we might try and negotiate with them. And then I guess we have to go after Festus, the Leech Lord, soon, who unfortunately is doing an absolute number on Telebeckland, I believe. Yeah, just a little bit in the north. So there are a lot of threats against the Elector Counts, and we do get a lot of negative penalties if they do get crushed. So the Skull Smashers, you're currently in an active war against Marionberg. I would love to join your war instead of just straight up war decking them, because if we're already going to go to war with them, this is a really nice trick to always get a little bit of money, because what, 300 gold isn't overly too crazy, but the more the merrier. Alright, so let's march against Marionberg. And they do seem to have a piece of territory really far north. Okay, so a lot of halberds and great swords here. Let's build a ram and a siege tower. So we'll send up Karl Franz, and we might as well bring our secondary army as well. We're still a little bit fatigued and exhausted from that siege against the Greenskin. So if I move you up in a force march, does that change things a bit? Still 2 minutes on that reinforcements, which we can reduce eventually. But we'll start off the siege. We'll see if Marionberg and its garrison march out against us. Or, you never know, they might have an army lurking around in the fog of war that we can't see. But thankfully we're going to be able to divide and conquer Marionberg. That would suck. Skull Smashers, Greenskins and Gobbos at the gates. And now you've got the right hand of the Empire, right arm of the free world coming on in with Galmaraz and Karl Franz. Oh, Elector Counts go to war. Okay, so we can actually stop the war. So this is why you need that 1,000 prestige. I would highly recommend, if you are playing as the Empire on Warhammer 3/2, always try and save up around about 1,000 prestige to combat those RNG events, and also about 2,000 gold at a minimum, because they can really become a handful if you just get unfortunate events, essentially. Alright, well, let's fight this one here today and have the Siege of Marienburg. Alright, welcome to the battle map. Let's go. Marionberg, a huge, important maritime city, especially for its trade off the coast. It would be a vital piece of territory for Karl Franz to set up operations if we are to trade into Ulthuan and beyond. So taking Marionberg early on is definitely a must, but I don't think we can technically, even if we wanted to, confederate with Marionberg, so a war with them was more than likely inevitable. So let's march on up. Our units are slightly depleted, so they're not fully, well, at full strength, as it were. Our skirmishers, particularly our crossbows, are going to try and carry the day. Now, unfortunately, Marionberg's towers on the outskirts are equipped with cannons, so our already battered and bruised and decimated infantry are going to have a harder time. But they just need to, quick as they can, get close, nice and flush to that castle wall, and they'll stop taking mass casualties. So, unfortunately for us, we're going to have to go with an offensive siege, which will cost more Empire lives. There was no chance for them to sort of sally out against us, and there was no reinforcing army to initiate a field battle, which I would have preferred. But so be it. Let's take this city. The ladders have arrived, and fierce fighting is about to break out on the Marionberg wall. Now, it's about 60% in our favour. We've taken a little bit of casualties on our encroachment, but we just need to get these attack orders going. Karl Franz is on a Pegasus, which isn't too bad. Better than the horse. Nowhere near as good as Deathclaw. Once we get that mount, things are really going to change on the field. But we've phased out most of our archers to now an improved crossbow unit, giving most of our spare units to our secondary army. We eventually want to try and bring in more mortars and cannons and Hellstorm rocket batteries that we can. We might even as well get some more Reichsguard and Griffin Knights, Demigriff Knights, where we can. But I want to try and prioritize great swords out of all the potential units we can recruit. Alright. Waiting for these reinforcements to come on in. But I'm curious to see how our infantry performs. I could have waited for them to get back up to full strength, but I didn't want to waste this opportunity of Marionberg being under the pump, as it were, by the Greenskins. Alright, the battering ram has broken down the Marionberg gate, and we're allowed to go on in now. So let's make sure that every single one of my infantry units has got attack orders going. Not really too much we can do with our pistoliers and handgunners. We might be able to open up an angle. Just need to wait for our archers to come on in. Now, we didn't disband the abundance of archers we had earlier in the Karl Franz build. We just moved it and shuffled it to our secondary army. But so far, I definitely think we need these reinforcements. Getting those 3 fresh swordsmen could very much change the tide in this battle. Because Marionberg is a little bit of a tough settlement to take. Particularly if you don't come at full strength. But we're somehow making it work. They're trading some fire back. Our archers are doing well. But unfortunately, we have 2 swordsman units just absolutely crushed, fatigued, and exhausted. And they've ultimately capitulated because of it. Okay. Let's make sure these archers move up slightly. And I suppose we're going to have to trespass through this Skull Smasher territory and then ultimately betray them. So let's move the archers here. Nice. I think that would be a really nice and optimal angle. Look at that. Like, if we can arc our shots up and over the top and fire down at them there, we might be able to hit them from the side and rear, which would be perfect. Alright, just focusing on their infantry, as they're very, very close to capitulating. But obviously in Warhammer 3 they can construct arrow towers, as you can see, so we might look to target that, but they are actually slightly out of our reach. They're nice enough back to be an ultra annoyance for us being the aggressors, but obviously in Total War it is very hard to keep offensive sieges and casualties to a minimal. You always tend to lose more in a defensive siege rather than a defensive. That's just the rule of thumb. And we've melted away most of the Marionberg infantry that's holding. But you've got to give it to the garrison. They are fighting to the absolute bitter end, tooth and nail, for their independence. Our handgunners are here. They might be able to get some rifle shots off. Right, let's speed things up. Man, even the Emperor himself is absolutely pushing himself to the limit. He is exhausted, just to say the least. Our archers have now arrived, and they're really getting their shots off there. Perfect, this is what I want. And they should be able to crush the last of the Marionberg cavalry. There is literally only a handful of units holding and maintaining their position. Alright. Come on. Nearly now. So once we've got Marionberg under our control, we are going to cut off their recruitment capacity. And hell, most of their trade. So They might have a full stack in the north that we can't see in the fog of war. But it's going to be very, very tough for them to mount a defense. Oh. Our secondary lord here might get caught, so we're going to have to move him out. Unfortunately, he is not immortal like Karl Franz, so we have to be careful. But so far, we're in a really good position for this Empire series. We're slowly but surely growing. We're gaining influence and Imperium over the various elect accounts, and things are looking upwards. Everything's looking very Karl Franz up in here. Alright, let's end that battle there. The Pyrrhic victory. We don't need to run them down. Nice. My god, we lost significant casualties, even though we massively outnumbered them. Like 3-1. Crikey. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Ugh. Did lose a lot of infantry though, but we've taken Marionberg. Probably the hardest settlement to take in our close proximity. Sometimes Helmgart, the fortress, can be tough to take, but look, I'm happy that we picked up the big W in the end, but we've got plenty of reinforcements that we can recruit from in our pool. Okay, I think we want to try and get the Red Moon in, so we can get the Captain, the Waywalker, and the Witch Hunter as well. Altdorf has expanded to a tier 3 settlement, so therefore we can get some more valuable upgrades. I've been trying to rush those great swords as best as we can. We also need to upgrade the blacksmith at the same time. I also would like a gunsmith so we can recruit mortars as quick as we can. If we can get like 2-3 per army build, that would really change the tide as we come against harder factions now. We can counter more. Okay, so they have actually taken the fort to the south, which is interesting. So before we go north towards securing more settlements within the province of the Wastelands, we're probably going to deal with this fort here, and we'll quickly just auto-resolve it, as I imagine it's the same blueprint as Helmgart. And I'm not going to play every single battle of this series, only battles that I'm interested in, or otherwise I'll be here for a year playing this campaign and we won't get to any other. So if it's a decisive victory, or it's just something I'm not... Look, I'm going to be honest, if I'm not interested in playing it, I'm not going to fucking play it. I'm going to play what battles I want. Or replenish and repair where we can, and particularly if there's like a cool story for the battle, I'm definitely going to play it. Alright, so what can we look to upgrade further? We've still got that little bit of cash now, but we do got this extra slot. The gunsmith is being constructed. Yeah, it's going to be a while before we can get wizards in, which is interesting. It does sort of hamstring in that capacity. Should we get some stables? Look, why not? Let's treat ourselves to some Reichsguard and Demigryphs. I like them. Okay, so roads to renowned. We can pay 1,000 prestige and get 1 authority. We're definitely going to do that because we want the growth and public order bonuses. Nice. We can install an elect account in the province of the Wasteland, and we've only got 1 candidate, so we might as well. So it's growth, not public order, but the more authority you have, you can press your influence on the various elect accounts, and we eventually want to bring them on in. Alright, well, let's march north to finally put the final nail into Marionberg. However, we might be actually better off to attack the greenskins here, because they had a full stack here, the Skull Smashers. They've only got 1 piece of territory, so we might as well betray them, although we got good relations after we war-decked Marionberg. I'm going to negotiate to Leon Leoncoeur of Bretonia, and we're going to join against their war, which will get us some better relations with them. Yeah, I don't know. It just depends what sort of happens. If we get swarmed with against various factions, we might not be able to go to war with Bretonia, but in the same boat, we might need to go to war with them. if there's no other factions for us to attack. It's just their territory is so easily conquerable, and it's so juicy. However, there's no harm in trying to keep amicable relations with the majority of factions, and then just like surprise attack them. So thankfully we are going to be able to take this territory with ease, as the Greenskins are mobilizing in the north to put the final nail into the Marionberg coffin, and we've really just divided and conquered these two factions, which is brilliant. We've played them off against each other, and now we've got a settlement to defend from if we want, and they have lost their only settlement, so they're going to have to try and charge us, suicide down against us if they are, or they're going to have to try and take Marionberg out, because they're not going to be able to get replenishment. Oh, they attacked me during the end turn phase. Nice. Mostly goblins. Yeah, no need to play this one. I guess they sent one army south to try and retake their settlement, while the other one went north. So a nice clear victory against the Skull Smashers. Nothing too overly complicated. Let's take the experience. Okay, we have another quest battle that we can do. The Silver Seal against the Vampire Counts. We get 5,000 there. Here we go. I guess we rally support. We don't want that war to kick off. We've got a potential of mass migration into Reichland and the Empire. We haven't overly expanded too much, so we can hold on the control. Alright, so with the Greenskins getting battered back, let's allow the Empire, for once and for all, put the final nail in the Marionberg coffin. Close victory of Karl Franz is to attack. He has now got his new mount Deathclaw as he's rank 17, and now it's turned the battle into a decisive victory, bringing Marionberg and the Wasteland into the control of the Empire. Nice. We've managed to take control of the majority of two provinces. Slowly but surely expanding Emperor Karl Franz and ultimately Altdorf's influence. And now we directly control one of the electoral seats. But a lot of these guys we want to try and bring on over and eventually confederate with. But with Festus and the Vampire Counts, with Vlad von Karstein, we want to try and bring them under control. However, there's a lot of territory taken by the Greenskins here. There's also that little Wood Elf enclave that we might look to snap. But Festus is doing really quite well here in the north. Okay, so this is how sort of the world of Warhammer is shaping up. As you can see, here are the provinces that we've taken. Looks like the dwarves are battling it out with the Barrow Legion. Bretonia is still holding for now. Look at that. So many provinces for us to take. It's probably not a bad idea to improve the Altdorf port. They're not as good as they used to be ports, but they're still a valuable source of income. Alrighty, here's Karl Franz, by the way. We've got some magical items that we can equip, and we probably can salvage some of the rest as well, as the Emperor is level 19. Our army upkeep isn't insane, but I do quite like the 3D model that they've added of him. So, let's sort of have a look. Okay, so the Black Pit tribe here. They've taken a lot of the lands of Middenland and Festus as well. Yeah, we want to try and avoid these elector counts falling. We could go potentially with the Barrow Legion. I think we continue on our Greenskin purge, going over to the Misty Hills. Misty Mountains. Lol, on the mind. What do you guys reckon of that new Lord of the Rings show? Which one's going to be better? House of the Dragon or the Game of Thrones TV series? Let me know in the comments. I would say House of the Dragon's probably going to be better, but I'd be curious to know. Alright, so we do have to keep an eye on the Barrow Legion, but we're going to have to try and take the province of the Misty Hills. We're going to march. So they've got the Black Pit as well, and they've destroyed some territory there. So let's get Karl Franz to besiege the Black Pit. Close victory. Most of the orcs in there. No legendary lord, of course. Let's build some siege equipment. Even though this army is probably more than capable to actually just straight up take the settlement if we want. Do we bother building that siege equipment, or are we better off just to auto-resolve it and take it? Let's just continue to siege for now. We might play this at the start of the next. Anyway, in the north, we should be able to take Wrecker's Point. And it's interesting to see that, yeah, Boris and the various elector counts have really given up a lot of territory here. So we're going to be able to push on over and liberate it. But now we are in striking range and really quite close proximity of Norska, who we're still at war with. We might need to try and sue for peace with them. Anyway, unfortunately on that note, it's time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed episode 2 of the Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. Stay tuned for episode 3 coming out the exact same time tomorrow, where we're going to continue this campaign exactly where we left off. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my social media links in the description below as well if you haven't. And above all, make sure to take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic rest of your day. My name has been Simpzy, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.